There was a time, you see, when he could feel it. A fire, a hunger that burned in his chest, gnawed at him relentlessly. It was a hunger for something more, something greater. He could feel the pull of the unknown, the vast, untamed wilderness of possibility that lay beyond the comfortable borders of everyday life. He was not satisfied with mere existence. He craved meaning. He longed for a purpose that transcended the mundane. But then he grew tired. Tired of the struggle, of the endless push to reach higher, to fight harder, to risk more. Life, in its brutality, demanded too much of him. It was too much work, too much pain, too much uncertainty. The beauty of greatness was too distant, too abstract, so distant it felt like a cruel joke. He watched one day as the world passed by. It wasn't slow, it wasn't gradual. It was like the pull of a rip tide, unnoticed until it was too late. Slowly, imperceptibly, he began to sink, not into despair, not into sorrow. No, that would have been too intense, too meaningful. Instead, he sank into something far more insidious. Comfort. Comfort, that soft, seductive whisper that lulls the soul to sleep, the gentle embrace of mediocrity, where nothing is too demanding, nothing is too harsh, nothing is too painful. Just a quiet life, a life where the risks are minimal, the dreams are simple, and the goals are so small they can be measured by how many days you don't have to confront anything too real. A life that moves through its days as if in a haze, unnoticed, unchallenged, unremarkable. And he thought for a moment that it was enough. This comfort, this numb, silent ease, it was a kind of peace, wasn't it? No more striving, no more suffering, just ease. So he laughed. He laughed at the idea of greatness, laughed at the fool who sought to achieve something beyond this humble, quiet life. He laughed at the thought of ambition, laughed at the fire of the will, the transcendence of spirit, the pursuit of glory. Because what good is it after all? What good is greatness if it means you must suffer, if it means you must claw your way up with bloodied hands, if it means you must burn relentlessly against the current of mediocrity? What's the point of greatness if the cost is agony? So he laughed, and the laughter was sweet, so sweet, like the slow, steady sound of a glass of wine poured into the night, soothing, undisturbed, untouched by the urgency of life. But what he didn't realize then, what he couldn't have known, was that the laughter was not an act of liberation. No, it was the laughter of resignation, the laughter of surrender. The last laugh, yes, but also the last sigh. He was, in the end, the last man, the one who, in seeking to protect himself from the pain of existence, chose to forfeit his ability to truly live. And the worst part was, he didn't even know it. How could he? The noise of the world faded into the background, and all that remained was the dull hum of comfort. It was like being in a room full of life, yet completely disconnected from it, surrounded by possibility, yet choosing none of it. But deep down, something still stirred. Perhaps it was regret, perhaps it was fear, but it didn't matter. The last man had traded greatness for comfort, and comfort, no matter how soft, would never be enough to fill the void of a soul that once sought meaning. His heart had grown tired, but not from the weight of the struggle. No, it had grown tired from the absence of it. The absence of risk, of challenge, of anything that could ignite a fire within. And as he sat there alone in his quiet complacency, the world continued to move. The great battles raged, the heroes rose and fell, dreams were forged in the heat of anguish, ideas were birthed in the throes of suffering. And the last man, who had chosen to stay in his comfortable corner, with no flame but the flicker of his own safe existence, realized, perhaps too late, that the laughter he had embraced was not the laughter of the victorious, but the laughter of the defeated. And so he laughed again, but this time it was hollow, a sound that echoed in an empty room, because to live without the hunger for something more is to cease truly living at all. And in that silence, in that calm, he discovered, perhaps for the first time, that the greatest tragedy was not the agony of striving for greatness. It was the quiet death that comes when you stop trying altogether. The last man laughs, yes, but in his laughter, he has lost everything.